Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Clean's Expert Series. We're talking all about cleaning chemistries with our cleaning chemistry expert, Michael Matthews. He's a clinical education specialist with Healthmark, a Getinge company, and we're walking through each of the nuances of how our cleaning chemistries work and what makes them optimal for instrument reprocessing. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to get to talk about this today.
Yeah, and this is a topic that goes, I won't say on a tangent because it really impacts our cleaning chemistries, and that is water quality. So, to start
Absolutely.
us off, how does our water quality impact the cleaning chemistries we're using in sterile processing?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, this is, I say it could be, it actually is a whole separate, expert series all just on water quality in sterile processing. That's a fantastic series there by Jeff Paquette. I'm a big fan of his. And so we aren't going to try to rehash everything that's talked about there because water is one of those things where man, it really feels like once you start to get a grasp on some of the basics, you find out there's just a whole lot more that you just didn't know. And so it's like an onion. You just peel it back and it's like, oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. And so water is actually very complex, but we're going to focus primarily, I think, on how it specifically interacts with your cleaning chemistries. And the reason you got to understand this is because water is essentially 95% of the total solution of your cleaning chemistry. So when you think about all the stuff that we've been talking about, the stuff that gets injected into the water is still the vast majority of what's actually in your ultrasonic, your automated washer, your sink, and decontam, whatever. And so the quality of that water has a direct impact on the effectiveness of your detergents. And so, the content of that water, the minerals, any sort of contaminants, they are going to affect how well that detergent works, how easily it rinses off, and all of those sorts of factors. And I'm incredibly grateful that there is so much emphasis now on monitoring water quality. ST108 has been out for about a year and a half, 2 years at this point, and I know we're still kind of just getting a grasp of how to implement these things, but they are critically important because water quality changes so wildly between even just locations. And all of those things have a massive impact on how well your detergents are working.
That's true. And even between in a facility, you can have your outpatient ambulatory surgery center, great water, pristine, and then your main department. Maybe it's a little older. Maybe there's different feed water coming in. But what are one of the what's an early indication that our water quality may be impacting the performance of our cleaning chemistries?
Yeah, I think the thing that people notice first and foremost is when they start seeing water spotting of some sort. And I would say when I get questions, and even at my previous employer, which is an instrument repair company, I would say throughout the whole time I've been an educator, I would say about 75% of the questions I get from the field have to do with some type of water spotting. And there are a multiplicity of potential causes for water spotting. But specific as it relates to detergents, when you start to see sort of like detergent residues getting left behind, or sort of like these spots that wipe off, but they're the same color as your detergent, that's one of those indications that something is going on and it's not either mixing well or it's very resistant to being rinsed off. And those tend to be kind of those initial sort of wait a second, something isn't right here. Now, your cleaning verification tests, they might also start to fail all of a sudden. And that's when we get those panic calls that say, like, what changed? The washer says it's working just fine. And like, there's lots of those little things, but generally, there's going to be some sort of visible evidence that things aren't going the way that they're supposed to.
And that makes sense. Now, talking a little bit more about rinsing, because that's an
Mm,
easy step to miss,
it is.
especially when we're going from a manual cleaning process, into the automated washer disinfector. That rinsing step is one that maybe is easy for a tech to overlook the importance of. So why is that rinsing step so important?
It is critically important, and I've said for years that I think rinsing is the most overlooked part of cleaning. Because you're right. I mean, typically we think of my job in sterile processing is to get the blood off the instruments, right? And so once I have accomplished that in the manual cleaning process, the rinse is almost just like an afterthought. And the real challenge with rinsing is the fact that you really can't see when you have effectively rinsed something until later in the process. And so it's like you're cleaning a clear substance off with a clear substance, and it's like,
Right.
how do I know that that's
How do
even
I know I'm
working, right?
doing a good job?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do I know if I even missed a spot, right? And
Yep.
so I would say, generally speaking, however much you're rinsing, you probably need to rinse more. And as to why that is so important, uh, thinking back to some of the other episodes that we've talked about, these cleaning chemistries are they're not designed to go back into the human body. And if they get left behind, they can cause complications at the surgical site, and it won't be like an infection, but it will be something like an immune reaction where you see inflammation or increased white blood cell because the body has identified it as something that's not supposed to be there, and it's reacting as though it is an invader, even though it's not actually biologically alive. And so that can lead to a lot of further complications on down the line. And on top of that, the detergent residues, they tend to add to degradation of the instruments. You'll see long-term staining on the instruments, and they can even corrode and break down the instruments over time. They can inhibit the steam sterilization process. I mean, if you think about it, if you've got a lubricant, for example, that's left a residue, that's going to prevent that steam from penetrating properly. And so all of these things sort of add up to you're not going to get the final product that your patients need.
And it sounds like it's almost a cumulative process of a little misstepped here. Maybe we didn't rinse that thoroughly enough here. We overdosed our sink in one part
Mhm.
of this process. And there's a snowball effect when it comes to the end result.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's always like little things that add up, and unfortunately that's also part of what makes troubleshooting so difficult on this.
Right.
Is because it's rarely one thing. It's hard to often kind of track, like if you've got water spotting, it's
Hmm.
hard to track it down to like one specific thing that's changed, because chances are it's not one specific thing. It's multiple little things that all just add up to a final product that is spotted, not rinsed properly, whatever.
Right. And I want to go back to one of the elements that you brought up in a previous episode in this series, which is those chelating agents.
Mhm.
So, an additive to the cleaning chemistry that helps, if I understand right, buffer any of the dissolved solids in the water so that they're not inhibiting our cleaning chemistries.
For sure. And so any of those contaminants that we're typically looking for in water, things like hardness, total dissolved solids, the conductivity, which is measuring the ionically charged, so those that have an electrical charge, all of those things directly interfere with the effectiveness of the surfactants and the enzymatics. Yeah, and because of that, a lot of detergents include what you said, the chelating agents that are essentially there to sort of attack or sort of sequester or wrap up those dissolved solids and kind of get them out of the way so that they don't interfere with the surfactants and they don't interfere with the enzymes. And so you're right, it kind of creates sort of like a little bit more of a tolerance for not having perfect water, because the reality of the situation is basically nobody has perfect water.
Yeah, nobody has perfect water coming out of the
So
tap.
you've got to have something that can help you compensate for that fact. And that's what the chelating agents do.
Got it. Now, what would you recommend when a multidisciplinary team is making decisions about cleaning chemistries? Sounds like that water quality piece of information is really important when they make that decision.
Oh, it absolutely is. And in fact, most chemistries will even have, like when you're making just decisions about what the dosing ratio is,
Hmm. Yeah.
most chemistries will give you a range of dosing amounts. And the reason they give you a range of dosing amounts is because the actual dose that you need to use at your facility is going to be directly impacted by the quality of the water that's coming in. And so if you've got a water quality that has a lot of total dissolved solids, you're probably going to need to use more of your detergent. And so, consequently, knowing your water quality is critical for making sure that you've got the correct dosing ratios and they're being effective. And if you don't have that information, you're really just kind of guessing and shooting in the dark. And again, it's like, well, you don't know what it is. And of course, obviously, the more enzymatic or the more detergent that you're using, that's more wasted money. It's harder to rinse off, and so you're always wanting to get it on the lower end, but it also still has to be enough there to be effective, right? And so when you're working through these nuances, like nobody can just show up and be like, "Oh, you should just use this much." Like, no, you've got to figure this out based on the nuances of your challenges. And if you aren't measuring and you don't know what the quality of your water is, then you really are just guessing.
Absolutely. And it's that balancing act that feels like it's been a little bit of a theme with this series, making sure that we're pairing the right chemistry with the right task, and even the right water quality. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Michael. And we're going to be back with the next segment where we talk about dosing, temperature, and the human factors that impact that. So something that every tech has seen out there. Stay tuned for another segment of our expert series on Beyond Clean with cleaning chemistry, Michael Matthews.